Hey everyone, you're back with Steph and Dennis, and today we're here with another video where we're going to be answering or helping you answer the question, do you have enough money to retire? Or probably more relevantly, will you have enough money to retire? We often talk about saving and investing our money, the best ways to invest, and so on, but we don't actually often look at how much we even need to retire. What are the best ways to make that happen? How much do we need to be saving and investing? And do our different methods and timelines work? Will it get us to that amount that we need in order to retire comfortably in time? So today we're going to be talking through how saving for retirement really means investing for retirement, how you can actually figure out and calculate how much you're going to need to retire, and then lastly, what you can do to make that happen for yourself. So if you're excited for this video and more videos like it to come, show us some love down below, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, show us some love down there, and let's jump right into this video.
Okay, so the first thing we want to talk about here is the concept of saving for retirement. Keyword being saving. So me and Steph were literally just having this conversation over this past week because when you hear terms like saving or when people are using, simple language to explain certain concepts, people get the wrong idea. So when we're talking about retirement and we're talking about saving, a lot of people think that they can just use their checking account, use their high interest savings account, and they'll have enough money to retire, which unfortunately is not true. Really, when it comes down to it, when you hear the term saving for retirement, what it really means is investing for retirement. So obviously this shouldn't come as a surprise because we've talked about this concept before, but even when we talk about putting our money away in a savings account, even a high interest savings account, versus investing your money, the difference in the amount of return that you're going to get on your money is so big. So to give you guys an example, we obviously love high interest savings accounts. We've talked about them a lot in the past, but let's say you put your money in a high interest savings account. Let's say you start off with $50,000. If you were to add $1,000 each month into a high interest savings account, let's say the interest you earn in that account matches inflation, and you do that for 30 years, what you're gonna have by the end of that 30 years is $410,000. Now, on the other hand, let's say you look at yourself and you say, hey, I'm gonna invest this money instead. So let's say you take $50,000, similar example, you add $1,000 to an investment account, right? And let's say, when it comes to the interest you earn within this account, we're not going to get too greedy. We're going to go with an average return of 6%. So if you do that for the next 30 years, you're going to have $1.2 million in your account. Honestly, when you really think about it, having $1.2 million ready for retirement is probably a lot closer to what you need than the $410,000 you would have if you saved your money, right? But when it comes down to it, how much do you actually need to retire? I'm going to kick it back to Steph and hopefully she can answer that question.
Okay, so let's start off with that question that Den just mentioned. How much do you need to have in order to retire? It's a broad question, but it's also kind of crazy to think that we in general are contributing, not saving, but contributing money towards this retirement figure without actually having an end number in mind and an actual action plan to make sure that you hit that end number as well. And also that you hit that number by the age that you want to retire at as well. So again, we don't even have that end number to work backwards from. Instead, we're just contributing money into our investments, hopefully, instead of just saving it. And just, hoping that we get to that number and maybe later down the line start to formulate that plan instead of having it from the beginning. Now, there are general rules of thumbs out there general rule of thumbs out there that we've seen, particularly, for example, that you'll need approximately 70% of your pre-retirement income available to spend per year once you're in retirement. But in our opinion, those rules of thumbs are I don't know how to say that. Those rules are kind of a bit of a distraction. And we say that because it's one of those things that you really do want to do your own calculations because it's going to be different depending on who you are. So as a starting point, you want to look at future use budget. How much are you roughly going to be spending on things like your housing costs, on healthcare costs, on different day-to-day expenses like clothes, food, transportation? Also, do you want to have any entertainment in your retirement life or travel or anything like that? You probably do, so you'd want to include that in the calculation as well. Now, on top of all that, you'll also want to keep in mind that when you're retiring, it's not the same timing as today, right? It's several years, decades potentially down the line. So you also have to keep into account the fact that prices rise over time too. So that's going to have to factor into your calculation as well. Now, obviously hearing all that sounds a little bit cumbersome and obviously like quite the estimate as well. Because if you're right now, for example, in your 20s, you don't know exactly what all of those costs are going to look like. Maybe you don't even have a lot of those expenses now. So how are you supposed to contribute in your mind what that's going to look like down the line? So this is where for now, when those things are kind of further away and more of an estimate, something like an online retirement calculator Something like an online retirement calculator can be really handy to help give you a general idea and an estimate of what that will look like years down the line for you. And also, please keep in mind that saving, aka investing, even more than what's recommended to you over time, especially, basically saving as much as you can on top of that is also going to be very important too. So don't just get a guideline or basically an estimate still from an online calculator and think, okay, I can just stick to that exact amount and I'm good to go. If you can contribute more over time, that's definitely something that you should be focusing on. So now we're going to jump into the retirement calculator, or onto my laptop, I guess, to show you some examples and scenarios of what this could look like in practice. Okay guys, now I am here at the laptop setup and I'm going to show you this retirement calculator and what it looks like. You could probably find a bunch of free ones out there online. We're using the one from Wealthsimple. If you just Google Wealthsimple retirement calculator, it'll come up, but we'll also have it linked in the description box below for you. But it's pretty simple. So let's take you through a few different examples. So I'm going to start off with what it would look like for my actual scenario. I think that's a good way to show you off the bat. So our free retirement calculator will help you understand how much you need to save for retirement/invest. So for me, I am now 25 years old. I make $52,000 per year, and I currently myself have $50,000 saved or invested for retirement right now. At least I have it saved or invested. And then how much percent of your savings are in registered accounts like a TFSA or RRSP? They'll ask you as well. Again, just remember that this one's specifically Canadian in that sense. So yeah, I'll leave it at 50% for this part of the example, and then click next. So the next set of questions are what age you plan to retire at. So 65 is what they have at the standard. They say you can start collecting full benefits for retirement at that age as well. I'm going to lower it to 55 to see what that would look like. And then when I'm retired, I expect to spend blank $1,000 every year. So this is where they use the recommendation of the 70% of your income. So that's what they already have automatically put in there for me. I'm going to leave that in there for now. But again, remember what we said earlier about doing that general calculation for yourself, or you can use their recommendation for the purposes of this exercise to get an idea off the bat. So I'm going to leave that there. And then the last question is how much you plan to save every month. So myself right now, I'm saving or investing just over $2,000 per month, but let's leave it at 2 to show you what that would look like. And then you can kind of see a sneak peek down below. But as you change those numbers up here, it gives you a forecast of if you're on track or not for retirement. So in this scenario, with my age, how much I make per year, how much I already have saved, the age I plan to retire, and how much I plan to save every month, shows me that my forecast is on track. So you're on track based on what you've told us. You already are on track to reach your retirement goals. Congratulations. So it shows you what you need at that age. You'll see it has it set up for age 55, and also what you'll have based on what you're doing right now. So for myself, it's predicted that based on what I said I would spend every year, I'll need $1.89 million. And based on the pace that I have right now, I'll have $1.91 million ready to go, saved in or invested for retirement. Now you can see when you play around with how much you plan to spend every year, that forecast drops down. And then also, if you play around with saving less per month, let's say my exact scenario, but I only saved $1,000 per month, makes a huge difference. Now I'm in On Your Way, you'll only have $1.02 million, but you need that 1.89. So I think using this calculator is a really good way to give you a general idea right now of how much you'll need and how much you need to put aside every single month in order to get there. And then maybe this is an exercise that you do consistently every few years to see if you're on track, to see if you should be upping how much you're saving and investing. And then also once you actually know exactly, roughly still, but more close to exactly what you'll be spending in retirement, continue to do that as well so you can have a more accurate prediction too. But again, we'll have this linked in the description box below for you, and you can check it out and play around with it for yourself.
Okay, so now that we all understand that saving for retirement really means investing for retirement, if you want to move forward and you want to make sure that you have that money that's needed a few decades down the line, then there's a couple things that you're going to need. Okay, so first and foremost is understanding that time, the younger you are, will be on your side if you start early. So I feel like the concept of compound interest and how it relates to time is one of those things that's not explained very well, but CNBC Make It actually pushed out a bunch of videos where they showed the difference between someone starting to invest at age 25 versus age 30 versus age 40 versus age 50, with hopefully the goal of retiring at somewhere around age 60. So really what they were trying to show is how beneficial it can be for you to start investing early, and how big that number gets the longer you have invested in the market. Now, we personally recommend that you pay off the majority of your debts, specifically those high interest rate debts. Very, very key, because the quicker you can get finished doing that, then you can move on to saving for that emergency fund. So when it comes to emergencies, we recommend that you have at least 6 months of readily available cash, and we also recommend that you keep that in your high interest rate savings account. And then once you've got all of that done, you know, your not so good debt is gone as well, then you can get into aggressively investing. So if you're someone who's interested in investing, and once again, we've been getting so many comments and questions, especially when it comes to some of those more riskier sides, right? So if we're talking cryptocurrency, if we're talking just in general day trading, if you're interested in that, then by all means go for it. But what we recommend is that you set up a consistent long-term passive portfolio that you can add to blindly, you know, not actually blindly, but something that you can dollar cost average into over time, and you just have it on autopilot. And we also have a video on how to set up and build your passive investment portfolio. So if you're someone who's interested in a low cost structure where you're not really thinking about it, but it's all on autopilot, then you can definitely use what Steph uses, which is Simple Invest. But if you're also interested in that more DIY approach, there's other alternatives that we've talked about on the channel as well. Okay, so one last thing that I want to mention before we wrap things up is around investing being this whole intimidating topic. Maybe your family doesn't invest. Maybe you and your friends don't necessarily talk about investing, and it's scary, and you know, all the above basically, right? The one thing that I want you to take away from this is that this is exactly what our channel is for. So if you have any questions, please let us know down in the comment box below. We will try and get back to you with an answer. Investing now for retirement is so much more important than saving, or, you know, just putting, you know, digging up a hole and putting money in there and burying it for a rainy day. It's so much more important, and it'll be much more scarier down the line if you do not start today. So once again, if you guys have any questions, please let us know down in the comment box below, and yeah, let's get it. Alright guys, so that's a wrap on this video. We hope that you found it interesting and informative. We hope that it actually answered some of those questions you might have as it pertains to retirement and having the right amount of money for retirement, all of that. We hope that we answered those questions. And if we didn't, please let us know down in the comment box below, and we will get back to you. Once again, we're gonna have a retirement calculator down in the description box below as well. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. You already know what it is. And if you haven't checked out our previous videos, make sure you do check them out next door. And we will be back. You know the vibes. Let's go.